Good evening. I'll call this meeting of the Cartersville City Council to order. If you'll please stand for our invocation and pledge.
Let us pray. Our Father which art in heaven, once again we assemble ourselves in the seat of government to do the business of the city. We ask for guidance and direction and understanding and clarity. And if you step in and we follow your lead, we'll be so grateful. So in Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Amen. Join me in a pledge. I pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Carrie Hodge, Ward 1. Jay Stepp, Ward 2.
Here.
Carrie Roth, Ward 3.
Here.
Calvin Cooley, Ward 4.
Here.
Gary Fox, Ward 5.
Here.
Alyssa Cordell, Ward 6. Here.
Thank you, Julia. Councilwoman Hodge is out with family business this evening, and she let us know well in advance that tonight she was unavailable, and I think when we're all supposed to be here and be accountable, she's done that professionally and has very good reason to do so, and so we wish her well on that. We will start with the approval of our council meeting minutes from our meeting on October 17th. Boy, that seemed like a long time ago. And council, you've had an opportunity to review these minutes. Now would be an opportunity to make any changes to those minutes, and if there are none, a motion is in order.
Motion to approve.
Second.
All in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion carries unanimously. Randy, are you getting us started with T2404 tonight?
Yes, thank you, Mayor
Thank
and
you.
Council. This is a proposed text amendment to the outdoor storage section of our zoning ordinance. From the first reading, it allows shipping containers under certain conditions and with a special use. The proposed text amendment affects three things: the outdoor storage section. It also adds some definitions, and it provides special use criteria. If it was approved, it would be through a special use permit. With that, Planning Commission did put several standards in there under the special use permit requirements, and they did recommend approval. This is the second reading. There are no additions or changes since the first reading.
Thank you. Any questions for Randy on this item at this time? If there are none, I'll ask Randy to have a seat. Open up the public hearing for T24-04 and ask anybody wishing to step forward to speak, anyone who wishes to speak for or against this, to do so at this time. And seeing none, I will close the public hearing for T24-04 and turn it over to council for consideration.
And Mayor, just a reminder, there are three ordinances that will need to be approved in one motion.
Thank you for that.
I would like to make a motion to approve the three ordinances.
Second.
Got a motion and a second. All in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion carries unanimously. Randy, I'm going to ask you to get up again. How about that? I'm bossing you around. SU 24-04.
Thank you again, Mayor and Council. This is directly related to the text amendment that just went through that provided for a special use for the storage containers and with the standards within the special use. With that, the applicant at 683 Henderson Drive is looking to implement the special use criteria. With that, Planning Commission did recommend approval. This is a second reading, and there have been no additions or changes since the first reading.
I will just add as comment more than question, but I guess affirmation would be nice. We are handling this item as a sole item. There's a larger overarching issue relative to these types of containers throughout the city. I know
Correct.
Planning and Development is going to move forward after this
We're going
action.
to take a look at the bigger picture, but putting the ordinance in place that was put in place, it does already set for standards to look at other zoning districts. So the framework's already there now for us to move forward.
Great. Thank you very much. Any other questions or comments for Randy at this time? Thank you, sir. And I'll open up the public hearing for SU 24-04 and again ask anybody wishing to step forward to speak for or against to do so at this time. Seeing none, I'll close the public hearing for SU 24-04 and once again turn it over to council for consideration.
I'd like to make a motion to approve.
Second.
All in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion carries unanimously. Thank you. Next item, Mr. Hardigree, you handling those for us tonight?
I'm gonna handle this one, yes, sir.
Great, thank you.
All right, this item is an addendum to the Historic Preservation Resource Survey that's currently being carried out for the city. We have 4 residential districts, 366 properties within those districts were grant eligible. There were 90 properties that were not grant eligible. This addendum is for a second contract to allow our consultant to handle the documentation and recording of those historic properties with the state database. It's $8,600 on the fee. They were the lowest bid on this addendum also. Staff recommends approval of this.
Thank you. Questions for David on this? Thank you, sir. If there's none, the chair will entertain a motion.
Motion to approve.
Second.
All in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion carries unanimously. We have got, Mr. McKee, you're up. Thank you.
Yes, Mr. Mayor and Council, good evening. This is the first item for the electric utility. It's an MOU between the city and Hanwha Advanced Materials Georgia Incorporated, which details an electric utility rate incentive utilized to win the corresponding customer choice load. The associated process is authorized by the Georgia Territorial Act of 1973 and the city's existing competitive bypass rider, CBP3, respectively. And we recommend approval of the agreement. Essentially, it is an 8-year agreement. The final 3 years are a roll-off period, and then after that 8-year period, Hanwha would go on to our normal rate rider, whatever they qualify for, based on their consumption and demand.
Okay, thank you. Any questions or discussion on this item?
And Mayor, just to note that there's a revised version of the agreement, so you're not approving the one that's part of your agenda package, but you're approving the revised one.
Okay. Very good. With that being said, if there's no questions or discussion to be had, Chair will entertain a motion.
Motion to approve the revised agreement.
Second.
All in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion carries unanimously. Continue on, Tom.
All right, second item for the electric department tonight, City of Cartersville apply for a grid resilience grant program, funds to facilitate a vegetation management, fancy way of saying tree trimming, program over the course of the next 5 years. That would begin July 2026 with that fiscal year and then go through July of 2030. This program will enhance the city's capacity for and the efficiency of preventative tree trimming in order to create cost savings to fund additional resilience enhancement projects. The city will apply for $1.158 million in Georgia Grid Resilience Grant Program funds and will match those funds with a 49% local cash match of $567,454. For a combined project total over the course of that entire 5-year time period of $1.7 million. And again, that would be broken down on an annual basis over that 5-year period. Tonight, we're just requesting the authorization to go ahead and make the application for that grant.
Okay, thank you. Any questions for Tom on this? If not, Chair will entertain a motion.
Motion to approve.
Second.
All in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion carries unanimously. Continue on, please, Tom.
All right, and the final item for electric tonight, this is a resolution. Electric Cities of Georgia Incorporated, or ECG, is requesting that the city update their selections for the ECG Board Election Committee by resolution. It is our recommendation that we name Matthew J. Santini as our voting delegate and myself, Tom McKee, as our alternate voting delegate going forward.
I would make a motion if I could, but especially with Tom as the alternate. So, Chair will entertain a motion.
Motion to approve.
Second.
All in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
And the motion carries unanimously. Thank you, Tom. Mr. Foy, I believe you're up. And if you would, please, I know we're dealing with 2 different change orders. If you would present both those, we'll ask questions as we go, but then we'll do those in one motion if you don't
And
mind.
if you would just make your offer statement first and then talk about the 2 items.
Make the statement first.
Yeah, the offer statement.
Okay, yeah, all right. For both of these amendments that will be paid out of the American Rescue Plan Act, ARPA funds, this is not a budget item for either of these items, but it has been determined that these services would qualify for ARPA funding as the city feels that this project would help our stormwater division manage, reduce, and recapture stormwater drainage that would result in reduced flooding at both of these locations. Therefore, these projects meet the requirements for eligibility of ARPA funds to the city of Cartersville. Public Works recommends approval of this amendment for both these projects that I'm about to detail. So I got
Thank
that
you.
out of the way. Okay, first, Terrell Heights Drainage Improvement Project has a couple change orders. Water line relocation work had to be done so that a project-related new storm drainage pipe could be installed under Plymouth Drive. And also the need for additional drainage structure and an additional storm pipe with head wall was identified, is needed to complete the project while addressing all identified issues. The current contractor on site can perform both items, so change orders were solicited and received from HD Excavation and Utilities. The cost for the change order associated with the contractor to perform the water line relocation work is $31,390. The cost for the other change order for HD Excavations and Utilities to install the additional drainage structure and additional storm pipe with head wall is $41,906.02. The total for both changes together on the Terrell Heights Drainage Improvement Project is $73,296.02. Okay, there's that one. All right, the other project aforementioned is the Irwin Street, Leak Street Drainage Improvement Project change orders. This encompasses two change orders as well. There is a significant runoff towards the Irwin Street project area due to a steep slope in the chamber parking lot. In order to control this flow, a retaining wall will be placed on the southeast side of the existing parking lot. The parking lot will then be lifted and re-asphalted, and the addition of two drop inlets on the uphill side of the retaining wall will capture and connect the parking lot flow to the updated drainage system. A fence will protect pedestrians from the elevation change between the lifted section of the parking lot and the sidewalk along Irwin Street. We have talked to chamber staff and board and leadership. All parties feel that this would improve the aesthetics of the area in addition to the functional improvement with the drainage. The cost for the change order associated with the contractor to perform the work aforementioned is $166,500 from Site Engineering Incorporated. Another change order associated with this work is $9,919 for CTI engineers to perform construction inspection services for this additional work and to create as-built project documentation. The total cost of these changes is $176,419. We recommend approval of these change orders for both projects.
Thank you. You'd mentioned in the work session relative to this second project, the time frame for completion on that?
Yes, sir. This work will not impact the original schedule of having this done by the end of the year. So honestly, site engineering has already started working on the two drainage structures in the parking lot. They're already there, but they haven't lifted that corner of the parking lot yet, but that's soon to come. Yeah.
And you also mentioned, again, public interest about the completion of Irwin Street and Leak Street and getting those roads back open. That's going to be happening
Yes, sir.
much sooner than we'd originally anticipated.
That will be done by the end of the day tomorrow. I'm being told there should not be any problems. They did work today doing some milling and some cleanup work to prep for the paving work today. I know that's been long awaited, so I'm glad to see them out there.
Certainly so. Thank you, sir. All right, that being said, we do have the two items that were presented. Again, ARPA funding being used for this. Chair will entertain a motion for both of these change orders.
Motion to approve both change orders.
Second.
All in favor indicate by saying aye. Aye. Thank you. Motion carries unanimously. All right, you've got a much easier one now, Stephen. Go ahead.
Right. Okay. This is for a GPS survey system. We request the purchase, configuration, and setup of 3 GPS handheld units, antennas, and poles from 3D Positioning LLC for a total of $22,980. These are needed to continue to map changes to our utility infrastructure. 2 of the units will be replacing existing GPS units which are 6 and 5 years old. 1 unit is for water, the second is for stormwater, and the third unit is for the GIS manager. This is not a budgeted purchase, but ARPA funds are available as the city feels that this project would help our stormwater division manage, reduce, and recapture stormwater drainage as well as allow our water division to manage our water and sewer infrastructure. And we recommend this for your approval.
Thank you. Questions on this item? If not, a motion's in order.
Motion to approve.
All in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion carries unanimously. Thank you, sir. Mr. Dixon, you've got just one tonight for you. Should have made you wait till the end.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. This is our annual renewal of our membership in the Georgia Utility Protection Center. So a cost of $18,037.09 is a budgeted item, and it's equally split between all of the city utility departments. And council's approval recommended.
Thank you. Questions, comments, or motions?
Motion to approve.
Second.
All in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion carries unanimously. Thank you. While Mr. Greer is making his way up, Chair will entertain a motion to add 4 items to the agenda.
Motion to approve.
Second.
All in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
4 items added. Good evening, Stephen.
Good evening, Mayor.
Go right ahead.
This first item is the request for an additional DZS GPON fiber service delivery platform. Basically, this is the equipment that we use to deliver internet service to Fibercom customers from Goldfield Telecom for a total of $12,862.11. It's not a budgeted item, but there is funds in the 2020 SPLOST, and I recommend for your approval.
Thank you. Any questions on this item? If not, a motion's in order.
Motion to approve.
Second.
All in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion carries unanimously. Continue, please, Stephen.
Okay, this item is the annual Cogsdale support maintenance renewal. This is the third-party software we use for utility billing, finance, payroll. This is directly from Cogsdale Corporation, and it is $128,726.37, and it is a budgeted item, and I recommend for your approval.
Thank you. Questions, comments, or motions?
Motion to approve.
Second.
All in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion carries unanimously. Thank you, sir. Chief Champion, you've got a couple of 3.
Yes, sir. Good evening, Mayor and Council. This first item is approval to purchase a 2025 Chevrolet Tahoe through Hardy Chevrolet in Dallas, Georgia. The statewide contract for $55,708. This is a budgeted item.
Thank you. Is this used, I mean, obviously it's used for fire. Is it a,
It's an admin vehicle.
thank you, okay. Any other questions? If not, a motion's in order.
Motion to approve.
Second.
All in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion carries unanimously. Next item, please, Chief.
Yes, sir. This is a request for approval for our annual uniform allotment purchases for 24-25. This is being done through our single source vendor NAFCO. They maintain all of our uniform patches and insignia. And this is for a total of $32,399. And it is our annual allotment, and it is a budgeted item.
Thank you. Questions, comments, or motions?
Motion to approve.
Second.
All in favor indicate by saying aye.
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 Motion carries unanimously. Final item for you, sir.
Yes, sir. This last item is for our NFPA site med physicals for NFPA 1582. First request will be for authorization for the mayor to sign contracting agreements, as well as the approval of $36,555 for the 2 invoices that we'll receive in December and January after those physicals are complete.
Thank you. Again, questions, comments, or motions?
Motion to approve.
Second.
All in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
The motion carries unanimously.
Thank
Thank you, Chief.
Yes, sir.
Mr. Porter, you've got a couple here.
Yes, sir. First is agreement with the purchase of real estate for the Collins Drive roundabout. It's property at 1120 North Tennessee Street. This will be coming out of 2020 SPLOST funds. Recommend for approval.
Thank you. We are not going to be building and reopening the old Morel's restaurant there.
We're not.
We actually have a roundabout that'll be going in that area, so.
Motion to approve.
Thank you for moving us along from that. Thank you. I got a motion and a second. All in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion carries unanimously. And the other one you have, Dan?
Yes, sir. This is for our annual inspection for our playground equipment with Play It Safe. I would recommend this for your approval, subject to the city attorney and city manager's final agreement. We need to get them to modify the current agreement they've sent to us.
Thank you. Any discussion? If not, a motion's in order.
Motion to approve.
Second.
All in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion carries unanimously. Mr. Forsyth, good evening to you, sir.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor, Council. The first item I have is an agreement with Atlanta Regional Commission, which replaces an existing memorandum of agreement between the city and the ARC regarding water resource litigation group, which includes 9 water providers in the metropolitan Atlanta area, which includes both the Apalachicola Chattahoochee Flint, or ACF basin, as well as the Alabama Coosa Tallapoosa ACT basin, which we are a part of. This essentially is a litigation group which is involving litigation with the state of Alabama, the other tri-state water wars, which are almost complete, in addition to the Corps of Engineers. This replaces or supersedes the existing memorandum of agreement with a 3-year agreement or contract. This has been approved and reviewed by the city attorney and is recommended for your approval.
Thank you. Any discussion on this item? If there's none, a motion is in order.
Motion to approve.
Second.
All in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion carries unanimously.
Yes, for the next item is the Water Pollution Control Plan Expansion Engineering Services Amendment, which we're currently at 30% design on this expansion, which is really just preliminary design, sizing and locating equipment and material. This next phase will be the detailed design, which will carry through 100% design of all 3 phases of this construction. Is projected to be, the engineering portion of this projected to be completed in the next calendar year. This will add $7.1 million to the engineering services currently that we have with Hazen and Sawyer Engineers. This is a budgeted item, and I recommend it for your approval.
And just because, again, that number kind of leaps out at the page, this is obviously the major expansion with a project cost of roughly.
We're estimating roughly $200 million.
Yeah. So, okay. Thank you. All right. That being said, Chair will entertain a motion.
Motion to approve.
Second.
All in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion carries unanimously. These next couple items we will group together as they are part of ARPA funding, and so I know you've got to say your little soliloquy before we get going here.
Yes, sir, mine's a bit shorter. The next 2 items for water and sewer projects are engineering agreements. This project will help us manage our water and sewer infrastructure and systems, and is being funded by American Rescue Plan Act funds. And the first item is the water and sewer master plan engineering. This is something that a master plan for water and sewer is required by the Metropolitan North Georgia Water Planning District. Has been envisioned for the last 10 years to complete this master planning. Stantec Engineering has significant experience in building these master plans for water and sewer systems. The first effort of there will be this first task order, $28,840.80. Since this is the first project with Stantec Engineering, we have to have a engineering services agreement approved by them as well, or by you as well. They have submitted their standard engineering services agreement for approval. And the second item to go along with that, which is also being ARPA funded, is the Satterfield Branch Stabilization Engineering Services. I think Logan has some pictures of some significant erosion around an 18-inch sewer along Satterfield Branch. Presently, it's not causing any problem with the sewer system, but we cannot rehabilitate that stream bank without significant work on the sewer system. So this is engineering design for that rehabilitation and replacement work for $144,900. Both of these, along with the engineering services agreement, I'm recommending approval contingent upon review by the city manager and city attorney, because they still need to add some portions to their contract that are not there yet.
And Sydney, both of these projects under their ARPA funding are necessary for improvements to the water and sewer system to provide safe water and sewer services to the public.
Absolutely, yes, sir.
Okay, thank you. So in what form does that motion for both these need to be in?
Just make a motion to approve both contracts, subject to final approval by the city manager and city attorney.
Thank you. Well enough. Any other discussion or questions? If there are none, Chair will entertain a motion on both of these items.
Make a motion to approve both these contracts, subject to the final approval by the city attorney and manager.
Thank you. I've got a motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
Thank you. All in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
And motion carries unanimously. And one final item for you, right, Sydney?
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
Second reading of the grease trap ordinance update. There have been no changes since the first reading. I'm happy to answer questions you have.
Are there any questions? And again, as you mentioned last meeting, simply taking what has been water department policy and making it part of city ordinance so that it's more accessible to people that have questions. I
Absolutely,
think
yes,
is
sir.
a benefit of that. Chair will entertain a motion.
Motion to approve.
Second.
All in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion carries unanimously. Did you get all three of those seconds there,
I got
Julie?
it.
Great. Mr. Lovell, you have got the final item on this agenda, and then you've got the additions that we added earlier.
That is correct. The first one is item 24. It is the approval of 3 ordinances, which are basically formalizing our process to get contracts and guarantees for natural gas customers whom we have to go out on the open market to buy gas to provide service for them. It is recommended by staff for your approval.
Thank you. Is there any discussion on any one of these 3 items that are lumped into one? If there are none, Chair will entertain a motion.
Motion to approve.
And I assume that means all 3 of those items?
Three items.
Thank you. Mr. Stepp will second that. All in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
And motion carries unanimously. Next item, please. Keith, that first added item.
The first added item is we received an anti-litem claim from Ms. Huntley regarding a accident with a city police vehicle. Staff has investigated and does recommend denial, so I would recommend you all approve this resolution denying it.
Thank you. Chair will entertain a motion.
Motion to approve.
Second.
All in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion carries unanimously. Next item, please, Mr. Lovell.
Next item is an amendment to section 1310 of the city ordinance, which deals with failure to appear in contempt of court. It's basically just clearing up some conflicts with the existing ordinance. It is listed on the agenda as an emergency reading, but we would recommend approval of it as a first reading.
Okay, which means we don't have to approve it at all.
That is correct.
Okay, are there any questions on this ordinance, this amendment to the ordinance 1310? Thank you. We'll take this up for final vote and consideration at our next meeting on the 21st. Correct? Yeah. Very good. Next item, please.
Next item is a mutual release with the Shireman's regarding some damage to water and sewer infrastructure on their property about 10 to 15 years ago. The city just uncovered it and has agreed to repair that for them. It is recommended by staff for your approval.
Thank you. Questions, comments, or motions?
Motion to approve.
Second.
All in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion carries unanimously. Final item, please.
The last one is, as y'all are aware, there's a townhome development going in off of Center Road. In going through their review process, their title examiners determined that they needed to have a access easement from the city for access and ingress to and from, and also to guarantee utility installations over some existing city right-of-way there. It has been reviewed by staff. It is recommended by your approval. The electric department did have one change that was made by this company, and also the adjoining property owner was provided the document, and they also requested a change, and that was made as well. This easement is between the city of Cartersville and WHM Chattahoochee Hills Investments and SDH Atlanta LLC. There are several representatives of both the adjoining property owner and of those 2 companies I mentioned present. I don't know if they want to speak or not, but you may want to ask.
Billable hours. Good evening,
That's right.
Carl. Name and address,
Carl
please.
Lugens, 114 Old Mill Road. Yeah, I'm just here to answer any questions. This is just an access easement we need to get to put a road in across city property, which was, I think, it was a future right-of-way, or going to be a future right-of-way if they ever expand Center Road. So I'm just here to answer any questions that you may have, or make any clarifications.
Anybody have any questions? Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Anyone else? Thank you. That being said, Chair will entertain a motion.
Motion to approve.
Second.
All in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion carries unanimously. Any other business that needs to come before council this evening?
I hadn't planned on coming up here, but Carl Lugens again, 114 Old Mill Road. After hearing one of the items about the Leak Street improvements, they mentioned about building a wall, and I can envision on where that wall is going to go, and I think it's a great idea. The other thing that they did mention is about the aesthetics of the wall. Two types of walls that could be built. One is a little bit cheaper than the other. It's called a modular or segmental wall. They're not bad looking, but they often don't have that aesthetic that would match the surroundings. I'm just here to make a point or an encouragement that we try to build a wall that is a brick wall that would match some of the other facilities that are in that area, but I believe that would be much more aesthetically pleasing.
Absolutely. Good point. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Anything else before council? I'll just make a very quick comment relative to local elections. Thank you to the voters for entrusting both the city and the county and all the other municipalities on passing the SPLOST by about a 57%. Then we got a much bigger sample size as voter turnout was rather high. So I think it's a testament that when you have a large turnout like that, and if you add to that a national sentiment that's generally negative towards the federal government, that the local folks still put their trust in us to make good use of their money, and so appreciative of that. Also, to pull off these elections, it takes an awful lot of people that work long hours on that election day, the poll workers and the people that are there helping this process go along. And I just want to publicly thank them at every, obviously the ones in Cartersville, but everybody throughout the county for their effort and their service to the election process. So, that being said, anyone else? Chair will entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Go Canes.
Hey.